So I remember ending a meeting like abruptly because what was it? It was Star Wars Celebration, and they had the rise of the Episode 9 trailer at the time, and
There was no name announced yet.
yeah, it wasn't announced yet, and then the trailer came on, and I loved it, and then at the end, there was this trademark laughter, and then the lights came on. Right, I'm watching this on my TV, and Ian McDiarmid is just standing on stage, and he says, "Play it again."
In the voice of the Emperor.
Yeah, and the crowd freaking erupts. And I was thinking to myself, should I call Adam right now? I need to tell somebody that this just happened. Usually I tell Adam, but God bless you, you fucking did this
I was on media blackout.
complete media blackout. So the only thing I could tell you was like, bro, stay off the internet. Because they're going to splash Ian McDiarmid. I know they're going to put his face everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're going to have at least that 2-second clip. So even if you go on Instagram and you accidentally unmute something, you're going to hear his voice.
Yeah.
And that was the big reveal.
And I unfollowed everything from that had anything kind of related to Star Wars. I unfollowed it.
I think the only thing I told you was the title. I was like, the title you can know because it doesn't really, like Rise of Skywalker doesn't really tell you anything.
And
right?
then, well, right. And then also, like, eventually I'm going to have to go buy a ticket somewhere. And I'm like, yes, I'd like 2 for the, 9th Star Wars movie. You mean, and then they're going to be like, you mean the Rise of Skywalker? And I'm like, I can't know anything. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
like,
you have to know at least that part.
Yeah. So like, I don't mind knowing the title. That's not a big deal. And like, I know like I'm going to like walking into the movie theater and like, whatever, I'm going to see a poster. So like, I know like there's certain things that I can like adjust myself to, but like, no, I'm tired of all the nonsense movie trailers for a movie I really like. I'm gonna go see this movie anyway. You don't need to spoil like 10 different movie beats for me by throwing them in a trailer and like, come see it, look how cool it is. I'm like, I know it's gonna be cool, you don't need to tell me that. Like, I'm gonna go see it. You've already got my money. You had my money years ago. You just needed to deliver the product.
You know what, actually, I was okay with the 3 trailers. I didn't think they were too bad. There were little parts in it where you saw snippets of like storyboard frames that I would have preferred to stay out of it. But it didn't give away too much of what ended up actually happening in the movie.
I was going to other movies and then like seeing something come up and then like realizing it's a Star Wars trailer, and then I put my head between my knees and plug my ears and like la 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 until
that
it's
I
over.
remember.
And like there's only so much of that you can do because even then, like at the movie theater it's gonna be loud. But, like you'd ask me, he's like, did you see anything? And I'm like, well, Rey was standing in a desert, and then I put my head down, and then I heard a TIE fighter, and then some blasters, and a lightsaber, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And then, So, but, like, those are all things I know are going to be in the movie. Like, that's in every movie.
Or at least, hopefully, will be.
Yeah. So, I was like, okay, so nothing's really spoiled, but...
But there was this little section, maybe about a month before the movie dropped, where... instead of trailers, they were giving you like full 2-minute clips from the movie.
There's a couple of movies that have done that.
And that's where I got off the train. Because if it's just lights and like some music and some voice in the background saying, hey, we're all together going to overcome the evil, then I'm cool with that because you're not giving me specifics and the story is still going to be fresh. But if you're showing me a full 2-minute clip of Kylo Ren going and seeing the Emperor and him being taunted and this whole thing, it's like, I'd rather see that for the first time.
In the theater.
In the theater.
Because in a trailer, there's no context. It's like someone's standing here, someone's standing there, they're saying something, there's a flash, someone's fighting, it cuts to something else. whatever. Like, there's no like real definitive order to whatever is going on. And, like whatever things are said are usually very generalized, or they're so specific you have no idea what's going on. So, and that makes it harder to kind of do something when you have 2 minutes of, an actual part of the movie. And even then, it is like that's the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, like, oh, well, they didn't really ruin anything. And I'm like, they kind of did, because we don't know where anything's going. Because I mean, I don't know, but like, I didn't think the Emperor was shown in any of the trailers, right?
Nope. It was a very vague, like, concept that there is an Emperor. Like, you hear the laugh, you hear some vocals, but at no point did they show Emperor Palpatine in any way.
Spoilers.
Yeah, this is spoiler heavy. So
yeah,
if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker by this point, this isn't for you.
It's been over a month.
Yeah, if it's something that you're waiting for it to come out on digital, this specific episode.
Well, first off, hand in your card.
Yeah, it's not for you. Like, anybody who is listening to this, it's all the people that have already seen it and would not wait a month and change to go watch. But I mean, all right. So you saw. So this is you saw A New Hope. You saw Empire Strikes Back. You saw Return of the Jedi. Maybe you're old enough to have seen it in the theater. Maybe not. You are a faithful fan who saw Phantom Menace. You went through Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then you waited, and then you heard, oh my God, Disney bought it, and you went opening night to go see The Force Awakens. You went and saw the trailer to The Last Jedi, and you went, oh, this is going to be awesome. You went and sat in the theater, and Rise of Skywalker is where you're going to wait a month? Yeah. This isn't your episode. If you haven't guessed, this is part 2 of
our End of a Species podcast with me, Adam, and you,
Jeff.
And we're going to be talking about the Rise of Skywalker and our thoughts, feelings, and other notes. Most of our thoughts are on the movie itself are very positive. So I mean, I have some minor complaints, but it's just that comes down to like mostly editing.
And it's mostly planet Earth stuff, not like
it's not
galaxy far away stuff.
It's not that other galaxy's issue. It's more ours.
The movie that we watched in the theater a couple of times was incredible. What led to it? We have differing opinions on what we feel about that, and that's fine. But
and we'll talk about it a little bit. I'm sure.
Yeah. So. But overall, this was, I would say, a fitting conclusion.
It's a fitting conclusion to 7, 8, and 9. I don't know that it's as powerful enough personally as a conclusion to 1 through 9 as I would have liked. But I also don't feel like it's to put it like in a comparative way, I also don't feel that this is like the end, because like it's going to be like Aerosmith. It's like our going away tour, and then that going away tour is 2.5 years, and then they take a 6 to 8 month break, and then like, oh, we're back, and then this is our final tour, and whatever.
So this is how different we are. See, he thinks that, and I'm thinking Jay-Z's Black Album, which was supposed to be au revoir, and he's still making records today.
So I feel eventually, like probably not for a while, but I feel there'll be a 10, 11, and 12. So I think we'll get there. So
I'll be there. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll be alive. If I'm alive, yeah, I'm going. Even if it's just a head in a jar, like I'll go. So, but the movie starts off. Kylo Ren is being a badass as opposed to like kind of a whiny baby.
Well, let me say this. Just from the crawl, my first thought when the crawl started, where it says the dead speak, and we're talking about, hey, the Emperor is sending out a message, and I'm like, we're not even gonna.
Yeah, we're not even leading up.
We're not warming up to nothing. You're just gonna hit me with that, huh? Okay, cool.
And then Kylo Ren's trying to find him and kill him. Like that's part of it. And then Poe and Poe and Finn are off trying to get, resources to fight back the First Order and so on.
And let's just say, for anybody who, like, I hear chatter from, and we'll touch on hater culture in another episode, but for those who think that this is unique to this trilogy and that, whatever, we all experienced episode 3 where we saw the start of the Clone Wars and all of a sudden, they kidnapped Palpatine. How did that happen? And there is a full 7 seasons of Clone Wars in between that we were given, so we have that advantage. But how did we get from here to there? And the same thing between Empire and Jedi, where it's like, yeah, you just lost your hand. Now you're choking out Gamorrean guards and letting Jabba know that, hey, you either give me my stuff or I'm gonna mess you up. And there's a whole legend, Shadows of the Empire type chasm in between the two. So this is something that us faithful are used to.
Yeah. Because most of the other true faithful are gonna like seek out other media to like kind of find where everything falls and where everything goes and what it's doing and so on and so forth. So, me being on media blackout though, before this whole thing started, there was a whole YouTube campaign for this movie that actually has the Emperor's broadcast in it, where like it leaks out and then like this is the broadcast that goes out across the galaxy, and there's like some little snippets about it over there, but like I wouldn't have known because like it was like new Star Wars. Nope.
Yep. I was off the train by that point.
Yeah. So there was a whole thing about like that broadcast that comes out, and it talks about the Emperor and the Final Order coming and this and that, and no one knows what it is. The Emperor's been dead for 20 some years at this point, and nobody knows what's going on. And then the movie kicks off, and they're like, "Oh, he's alive, and he's broadcasting stuff." And you're like, anyone who didn't know or who didn't find that random video on YouTube would have no idea what was going on. So,
I almost feel like you're quantum leaping into episode 9. Like, what did I? Where was I?
Just a little bit. Well, here's the other thing is like franchises like this. It's like with Marvel and with Star Wars and like what I think will soon be Lord of the Rings, because Amazon's got a Lord of the Rings show that's coming out. Mm-hmm. Like everything's going to be told. The story as a whole is going to be told in multiple mediums. So like they want you to consume everything to get the full story. Like the majority of the story is going to be like the movie or the show. You'll get 75-80% of it there, but like you got to read a book, you're going to read a comic, you're going to have to read this, that, check something out, watch a YouTube, something. Like there's a combination of things, and it's all a ploy for more money, but like
merchandising
where the real money from the movie is made. But it's such as the thing. So it's something that happens. But anyway, the actual movie.
Yes.
Starts off, Kylo Ren's on Mustafar. They don't tell you it's Mustafar, but he's on Mustafar, and he's just killing somebody with a bunch of stormtroopers. He's the only one left standing. It's one of the few times where you like kind of see him as less of like a whiny adolescent and more of like commanding, like badass.
Yeah.
Because in like
I think at this point he's kind of gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I feel like the light side folks have been using me, the dark side folks have been using me. Fuck it all, I'm just gonna take over myself.
Yeah. And well, that's what happened at the end of 8. It was like, oh, this guy that taunts me and shocks me randomly and calls me names and made fun of my sweet helmet. Like I'm gonna cut him in half, and I'm just gonna run stuff on my own. And like, there's no one else that's gonna oppose me because everyone else can't like lift them off the ground and choke them out and stuff. So like, that's my thing,
Yeah.
You're all really, bitch, say I'm not in charge. And then it happens. So he's doing his badass thing. There's the MacGuffin of this movie, which is the Sith compass. No, it's not called a compass. What was it called?
Well,
the navigation thing. Anyway, it's like a little pyramid controller thing. You plug into your starship, and then it'll take you to Exegol, where the new emperor, whatever is,
and the new Sith fleet.
there's a new Sith fleet. There's thousands, millions of like, I'm guessing like engineers and soldiers and stuff like hanging out. He goes to meet the Emperor. He's got a tank full of Snokes because Snoke was a grown science project.
I almost look at like if you've ever seen the movie The Prestige.
Yeah. Where he's got like that magician's tank with all his previous versions drowned.
Here's all the ones that failed.
Yeah. So he's got a tank full of Snokes, and then the Emperor's on like some sort of like claw machine, stabilizer, life support thing. It's not explained, but like he's got no eyes. He's got partial fingers. We're wondering how he's still alive because we don't know. He's just kind of hanging robed, so he might just be a torso. We don't know. So it doesn't really show a whole lot. But like
and as confident as ever.
Yeah, he knows. He's like you better pay attention or I'll wreck you. I'm like, why? You don't even have any fingers. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I can walk. Beat that. So he makes a deal with Kylo. Why Kylo agrees to this particular deal, I'm not sure, but like he's going to be told that he's going to be put in charge of this new fleet. And again, it's a fleet of planet killers. So each Star Destroyer can has like a Death Star weapon on it. They miniaturized it to a point where it's like, oh yeah, one ship, that's got enough power to blow a planet. That's fine. And then
Palpatine seems to have this this obsession with destroying entire planets. Like that's his go-to move.
It's the Empire's go-to move has been that for a while now. Because like, what else are you gonna do? It's like, who's gonna top what in a situation? Oh, it's a gun. Like, and then now it's Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd with who's pulling out the bigger cannon on each side, and it's just like, oh, we just get to the point where it's like, oh, we just blew up everything. But like, I also don't get, like, you want to rule, but like you're gonna blow everything up. Like, what are you gonna rule? Dust? Like, what is your ultimate goal in this, dude? Like, you gotta think this out. Like, I will rule. Well, I'm the only one left.
Yeah. Me and the nameless, faceless Sith, what are they? Acolytes?
Acolytes would be a good word, yeah. But
disciples.
They piece together Kylo Ren's helmet back. He puts it on. He goes and takes charge, and he's like, look, we're going to go hunt down the First Order. We're going to wipe them out. We got to kill. He's like, he wants me to kill Rey. We'll do it. We're going to do this. So Kylo Ren goes out. Rey, we cut back, and she's training with Leia. Leia's training them on the Rebel Resistance planet, where their fleet is kind of like just like, they don't even have like a shop or anything. They don't have like a hangar or anything. They just like, oh, just park between those two trees out there. We'll have we're gonna dig a hole for a barbecue later. It's just like, everything's just kind of run over bushes. They're constantly sweeping.
Definitely giving you the impression that the Resistance is running on fumes.
Yeah, they're sweeping like bugs and spiders off their control console, and like, stepping over snakes and whatnot. I'm like, nope, these are unsafe working conditions, General Leia. We can't do this anymore. But Rey's training. Leia's trying to, give herself confidence. She's trying to make contact with somebody, like, through the Force. She's like, be in me, be in me. You don't really know. Be with me. Be with me.
Yeah.
You don't really know what that means at the time, but whatever. And then they kind of start off again with that Force connection that they both have. And she sees Kylo Ren, and then crushes BB-8 with a tree. But like, you see how her powers have kind of like grown and become what they are. And then the Millennium Falcon comes back from a recovery mission to get more information about the First Order and where they're going and what they're doing. And oh yeah, we got chased and hyperspeed skipping, and that's a new thing. That was kind of fun to watch, though.
It was, and
and real quick, the first 15-20 minutes of this movie is breakneck speed.
Yeah, if you do not have a seatbelt when you're watching this, and this is one of the things. Like, I know some of the people that did not like The Last Jedi, they complained about how slow it was, and I almost thought this was J.J. Abrams' big middle finger to those people. Like, oh, you thought that was slow? Well, I'm gonna hit you off with some fucking what planet? And you notice there weren't even any big old text drops of this is the planet we're on now. It was just planet. Well, if you want, you can buy the DVD, Blu-ray, digital edition of this and slow it down and maybe look at a couple of frames and figure out what planet we're on, because we ain't telling you shit.
Yeah. And so we bounce through. They go to another planet because they're looking for another one of these Sith locator beacons to find their way to what they're doing. So they're following the trail of a guy who used to work for the Emperor, had been to that planet before.
Yeah.
And then they basically go to Burning Man on this planet. Everyone's throwing dust in the air.
South by Southwest, the Space Edition.
Yeah, and they're throwing dust in the air and colors and so on. And then, genealogy comes back in because one of the little girls that are there, the aliens, what's your family names? I don't have one. I'm wait and find out.
Yeah.
And then you cut through, and then the First Order has troops that are hidden there, and then they radio in, and then Kylo Ren shows up with the Knights of Ren, and then there's a speeder chase, and then they're running, and they leave the Millennium Falcon. The First Order gets the Millennium Falcon, they take it up. Why they don't just blow the thing up anyway? They hate that ship anyway. Why don't they just there it is, boom, gone.
It's the one thing that can outrun us all.
And then they find this other guy's ship, and then load up in that, and then they're trying to get it started, and then Rey feels something and she goes out.
Chewie gets captured.
Kylo Ren tries to do a hit and run, I guess, on Rey, but she jumps over, cuts the wing off. He goes soaring. He climbs out. Then she gets told Chewie's captured. He's in the ship, and then she grabs it with the Force, a la kind of Force Unleashed kind of thing, and
very foreshadowing this section.
Yeah, this is a huge part, and then Kylo Ren's trying to fight her off. It's back to this whole thing with a lightsaber, and she's like, "I'm not letting my friend go," and she pulls really hard and screams, and then lightning comes out of her fingers, and she blows that bitch up, and she's like, "Chewie, I just killed you," and then she's like, "Oh, it's all my fault. It's all my fault." And I was in the theater, and I'm like, "Yep, it was.
Yep, you fucking killed him.
You killed him. All the original people that gave Rey a chance, and then you're the reason Chewie's dead. You're done. This character is done. There's no way. There's no redeeming her if she actually killed Chewie." And he's not dead. They cut back, and he's on a different ship. And they're shipping him off or whatever. So,
but the idea that lightning just randomly came out of her hands when she lost control, that I think is it's kind of heavy-handed.
Yeah,
but it's a well-placed kind of foreshadowing of, we'll come back to this. And,
yeah,
you'll on the second viewing you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah. So then on this ship, they find a dagger and reference this dagger references where this other hidden Sith beacon is, and C-3PO can read it, but he can't. I guess it's Imperial protocol or
it's Sith language, and
it's in Sith language. He's not allowed to translate it. It's like Republic protocol or something. He's not allowed to It's like contraband. And I'm like, well, that sounds like any hacker should be able to like bypass that. And they're like, oh, we know a guy on a planet. We're gonna go talk to him. And then like they go and then they find out on this planet that's under heavy first order occupation is a guy who's a droid smith and he can unlock it for a fee. And so they go down there and then randomly we find out like Poe may have had a love interest there and she's kind of a bounty hunter or so.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think that love interest story is kind of a comic relief because you have Poe going, hey, you want to...
Yeah. But like you find out he used to be a drug smuggler, a spice runner, and then like
death sticks.
Yeah,
you don't want any death sticks.
And then Finn and Rey both ask, "It's like you were a spice runner?" It's like you were a scavenger. It's like you were a spice runner. It's like you were a stormtrooper. Let's keep doing this, whatever. Like it was like, why is this? I'm obviously not that now. Like, why are we still talking about this? It's in the past. Maybe, in peacetime. I mean, Han went back to smuggling. Like, whatever. Like, he's got something. Like, everyone made a living somehow. So, he just... he happened to not get caught.
Modern Star Wars.
And maybe I think that was why he was such a good pilot.
You know what? From Rogue One on, because in the beginning of Rogue One, you kind of see members of the Rebels, and it's like, hey, we just killed this dude. And I think modern Star Wars lets you know that, yes, there's a light side and a dark side, but the lines are not always that clear.
Red and blue.
Yeah, so it's not always that, like I to put two different colors on it. It's not always that black and white. There's a lot of gray space in there, and sometimes people do things
purple space
that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Or that they don't like that's not in their nature in order to get the mission done. So a lot of many Bothans died.
Yeah.
And all that.
And so we go through. They go to the dagger. They go to this guy. He hacks 3PO's memory, but he's like, "Hey, once we turn this on, he's gonna wipe his memory. He's gonna be back to square one and again." And they're like, "Doesn't R2 back up your memory?" And he's like, "Yeah, but he ain't here right now. He's back with Leia doing her thing." So the
idea that R2 has a cloud backup of C-3PO is very amusing to me, entertaining in many different ways. Especially since what we know of R2 is that he's very mischievous. Mm-hmm. And I could see R2 maybe...
It's like, oh, they're going to wipe him again.
Flipping some ones into zeros and back and forth until, maybe oh, now you're scared of strawberries. Or some weird shit. Like, I could see that happening.
But through that whole thing, they get the information, and then they find out through the Force Chewie's on the Star Destroyer that shows up looking for them. And
Rey senses it.
Yeah. Rey senses it through the Force. Oh, we skipped over the snake thing. They fell into the pit, and then Rey shows a new Force power of Force healing with a snake, which was shown previously 2 days earlier by the Mandalorian, baby Yoda child, healed Apollo Creed with some Force healing. But anyway, so they heal a snake, and the snake lets them out of a pit that they fell in. But anyway, so going back, they get a coin from Poe's ex-girlfriend to go up to the Star Destroyer to land, and then they sneak in. They rescue Chewie. Rey's looking for a Sith beacon that might be there that Kylo Ren might have, and then they do they kind of do a lightsaber battle through the Force, which I thought was very cool. He's down on planet looking for her. She's up on planet looking for the thing he's got, and then they make their connection again. And then they have a battle, and then they find out, Kylo Ren finds out that she's up there because, now they've done a new thing, not just touched or whatever. They've moved material through the Force from one location to the other.
And they destroyed that little podium that he has for his
grandfather's helmet.
For Darth Vader's helmet. And not to show off, but for those of you that know that it was my birthday, blah blah blah, I had a 7-year-old's birthday cake that had a Darth Vader helmet. So that Vader helmet is now in my
Are you going to melt it down?
office. I'm not going to melt it down.
You're not going to melt it to look like a melted Vader?
I respect my Sith Lords.
Oh, okay. Luke didn't. That was his dad, and he melted him down.
Well, whatever.
But, so the helmet and the podium comes out, and he's like, that's where you are. So then he goes up there, and then the crew find the Millennium Falcon. They're like, we need to get out of here. And like, yeah, you've been needing to get out of here since you got Chewie. Like, let's go.
Well, like... Oh, no, go ahead. I'll jump in.
Okay, so they fight their way through. Poe gets shot. Rey doesn't heal him. she heals some random snake. One of my best friends. Like, yeah, you're not getting any force healing from me, but whatever. So she starts taking this like weirder, darker tone with everything that she's doing, and she gets a little focused.
There was the one beat that I did want to hit was where she's at the edge.
I was getting there
of the ship, and everybody's cornered her before she gets on the Millennium Falcon. And she has that like kind of like Aladdin moment. Yeah, where it's like, oh, peace.
Yeah, and then she leaps. And like leaps through the forest and grabs onto the railing from the loading ramp and like jumps onto the Falcon. They're shooting, and then they turn and they hit him with the thrusters, and everyone falls down except Kylo Ren. Like he's doing the force gravity Spider-Man stick to the ground.
Yeah,
he just leans forward a little bit. Everyone else gets sent flying backwards, and nobody's face burns off. That's was also another thing. I guess that cold fusion or something. Maybe I don't know. That was one of the things I'm like, they just hit him with the back, and that's a long thruster. Like that's like 15 meters or whatever. That rear thruster from the Falcon, like
really?
That's a big, yeah.
The metric system.
Yeah, I went with metric system.
You're gonna hit me with the metric system. That's cool.
You do the math.
Yeah, no, fuck that. That's a lot.
Yeah,
It's long.
So, and then they peace out, and then they're like, okay, well, we got the translation from the dagger. We got to go to Endor. Or the Endor system, and go to not the forest moon of Endor, but a different moon of Endor that's got water on it. But that's where some of the wreckage from the Death Star is.
You know what? I'm gonna jump in here and say that's the haters' fault. And if you guys would have played nice, we would have gone to the forest moon of Endor, and we would have had like a snippet of some Ewoks.
We did get some snippets of Ewoks.
But we would have had
better
longer snippets of Ewoks.
Okay, yeah.
And if it wasn't for the fact that they were like, I could see it right now. Like, well, this is going to be on Endor because that's where the remnants of the Death Star 2 are. But if we go to the Forest Moon, these people are going to be like, that wasn't how it was in Episode 6, and you guys suck. So we have to come up with another moon. And this is why you guys need to stop fucking hating on shit. Because this is why we can't have nice things. Anyway,
I still think this was a nice part of the movie. But they land, and then like the part of the Death Star that contains the Emperor's Tower, where the Sith, nav beacon or whatever is often like the middle of like off the coasts of the Cliffs of Moher or whatever, and it's like this huge drop off, and it's like during a storm, and they're like, we'll wait till morning to go and get it. And they're like, okay, everyone agrees except Rey. Rey's like, nah, I'm out. She gets on a boat by herself, sails out there, climbs up the elevator shaft that the Emperor got thrown down, way before, gets up there, meets a dark version of herself, which was ruined in a trailer. Like, yeah, that's a part that I was like, don't show that.
I'm going to say this. It was ruined in a clip, but in the trailer, it was kind of like you just saw her. Like, you didn't see her and her.
Yeah.
You just saw her with the thing, so it was almost reminiscent of that moment in Last Jedi where she grabbed Kylo's saber.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But, like, you see a dark version of her. She ignites a double-bladed lightsaber, but, like, both of the blades go in one way, and then, like, you hit the button, and then it swings out like a screen door on a porch. Like, it swings out, and then she's got a double-bladed red lightsaber, and then fights herself, and she got fangs. But she gets the thing. She gets the MacGuffin she's looking for. And then Kylo Ren's there, and he's like, oh, yeah, you're not getting this. And he crushes it. And then they fight, and Finn and Poe, and they're like, we're trying to rescue her. But they're like, nah, leave us alone. They jump further to where it's like, they can't get out here. They don't have force powers. And they jump out. And they continue to fight. And then this bitch stabs Kylo Ren in the chest with his own lightsaber. And he goes down.
Because
Leia feels what's going on and then reaches out to him and like startles him, like gives him like a force pull by the back of the head or whatever, and like says like,
let this lady stab you real quick.
And he gets distracted, drops his lightsaber. He doesn't drop it, it gets twisted out of his hand, and then he gets stabbed. And then Rey heals him. She can't heal Poe. He gets shot in the arm, way less damaging. He gets stabbed like just below the rib cage, like through a lot of like the diaphragm, the liver, gallbladder, like kidneys.
We about to flatline
the whole thing. Yeah, like he's got seconds, and then he heals her, and then he's all right. And then she leaves his lightsaber there, and then she leaves, takes his TIE fighter, and bounces. She's gone. And then we have like
a moment of schizophrenia.
Yeah, we have
We can only call it schizophrenia because for those of you that have seen the movie, probably okay. Everybody who's listening, you've seen the movie. There's no Force ghost of Han Solo. It's not a thing. So I can only say this is a moment of psychosis.
It's a moment of psychosis, but it might be like a reactivate. It might. I think my thoughts is that Leia used the Force to channel memories of Han in Kylo or Ben to give him a message, because Han is the person he needed to hear it from, like not her but him, and he would respond differently because he's still racked with massive guilt for stabbing his dad in the chest and letting him fall into a planet that later exploded. So there's no coming back for Han.
If there's one thing about these Skywalkers, they cremate their dad. They do it.
Yeah.
They don't even give it a second thought.
So he has a moment with Han in which they talk and he apologizes. Han says it's okay. And he says, my son's not dead, he's alive. Kylo Ren is dead, because he was Kylo Ren when he got stabbed. So Kylo Ren is officially dead, but now you're brought back and you're Ben again. And he's like, Dad, he gives the whole speech from what he did before. He's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And he's like, will you help me? And he's like, Dad, and then he says, I know, which, Han being Han, it's emotional. But then he turns, throws his red it's still workable. You can be different. Like, you can be a good guy and have a red lightsaber. Like, I know it's a symbol or whatever, but like, WTF. Anyway, throws the symbol of his dark side into the ocean, turns around, Han's gone. And then cut to Rey on Octo, burning Kylo's TIE fighter, and she's throwing everything she owns into it, and she's like, I can't do it, I'm gonna be dark, I'm not gonna be a dark side. I got told that I was a Palpatine. Like, he told me, Kylo Ren told Rey during the fight that she was a Palpatine, and that's where all of this happened and why this is all stemming from this.
There has to be some sort of comic book, novel, TV show, something explaining this, like how we got to that. But
there was one.
I think
it was a comic book, if I remember, because I remember like drawings, I think, but I might have seen someone explaining the comic in a YouTube video.
Okay,
so the information the information is out there. Yeah. And if I remember, like, it's like the Palpatine force gene like skips a generation, so like his kid was not force sensitive.
No. I need to know what kind of game twisted, weird mushmouth Palpatine had to get,
Well, I think from the Clone Wars and the first one is like I think it's just a thing like Palpatine plays all sides at all times because his brain works like that, like working all the angles, and he just like whatever one makes it to the end, like I'm on that side anyway, so what does it matter?
So he had a Padme.
Yeah, well, maybe he might have just had concubines. I don't know.
All right, I'll take it.
So
she's burning down all the stuff.
she's burning down all the stuff, and she gets to Anakin's repaired, the Skywalker repaired lightsaber. And she's like, she chucks it into the fire like, fuck that thing too. And then it's caught by Luke, the Force ghost of Luke Skywalker, who then takes it and says, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect than this. Which I think was another kind of fuck you to Rian Johnson and Last Jedi, but there you go.
Yeah, or a redemption arc.
I think the end of Last Jedi was Luke's redemption arc, and he's redeemed, and that's why he can be a ghost again. But he's now much wiser and caring and comforting than he was in The Last Jedi. But then he kind of gives her a pep talk, tells her she has everything she needs. She finds, like, oh, you didn't check the glove box in Kylo Ren's TIE fighter, and she finds the Sith navigator beacon and pulls that out. Wayfinder. That's the word I was looking for. Sith yes. Wayfinder. I knew it would come to me. So the Sith Wayfinder.
Tell your friends. Skip to, 41 minutes? 41 minutes in.
And she gets that, and then Luke pulls his X-Wing out of the water. She rides in that.
Let me tell you how great a moment that was. And it's almost an obvious thing. It's like a cheap pop in wrestling, like saying what the city that you're in.
Before going into episode 8, we were like, oh yeah, he's gonna pull, like when we saw the X-Wing in the water, we're like, Luke's gonna pull the X-Wing out of the water for her. And he's like, oh, size matters not, you know.
And so when he's actually pulling it out, he not only has the same stance that Yoda did in Empire, but a big nod of the hat to John Williams. What a way to go out.
For doing the same music.
The soundtrack to this is incredible. But just giving us the Yoda theme in the middle of all of that, just like...
It's tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's the same notes and stuff. But yeah, it's great.
It's just a good it's a feel-good moment.
Yeah.
Like, it took you this long and you're learning these lessons and you're still learning even after, becoming one with the Force.
Yeah. And so then she goes off. Finn, Chewie, and Poe go back to the Resistance planet. Tell them what's happened. Like, we don't know where to go from here. Then they start getting, I don't know, text messages from Rey's. She just steals everything from the Skywalkers. She steals from Luke's ship, which is still named Red 5. Like, wasn't he part of? Didn't he? Like, wasn't there like canon material that like he instigated Rogue Squadron and he was the leader of it until he kind of took a step back and became the Jedi guy. And then he left that to Wedge. Wasn't that I thought that was still a canon thing. Maybe it's not anymore, but I thought that was.
It's hard to sort this out. I want to say yes.
So I would think that he would still be Rogue One. And why they still left his X-Wing as Red 5, I don't know. But whatever. Anyway, moving, they're like, okay, we're giving navigation points from Red 5, which to how to get to Exegol. We need to amass our ship. Lando, you go out, take Chewie and the Millennium Falcon, hit the core worlds, call for help. We're gonna go and we're gonna handle this. So Rey gets there. She confronts the Emperor. She's trying to feel out whether she should turn to the dark side or not. She has this strong inkling. I think she's about to. And then, that connection that they have in the Force, she feels Ben show up. And Ben's running in like Bruce Willis or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, just trying to get to where he needs to go to save who he's got to save. And he has a little, his personality has already picked up to be from way dark to be a little comical, because he makes a leap off of a platform onto a pillar, like any Jedi should be able to do without any real problem. And he lands, and he's like, "Ow!" and I'm like, you like that shouldn't bother you, dude. Like you didn't you just leap over half an ocean onto wreckage
from one end of the Death Star 2 to the other?
Yeah, and like I'm like, okay, so but like he's running and gunning, and he's doing like Solo level shit, because he comes around a corner and like someone's shooting at him. He doesn't even look and turns around and fires, and then just nails a guy, takes him out. And comes across the Knights of Ren, and then they kind of kick his ass. And he's down on the ground.
I mean, it's he gets some licks in, but one of the things that, you know, where Kylo Ren is very angsty and angry, Ben Solo is kind of cocky.
Yeah,
he's kind of like, don't you know, I'm the guy.
He's too much of his father.
I'm the progeny of, like, not just the great Han Solo, but like my grandfather's Darth Vader, motherfuckers. Like,
yeah,
you want some of this? Like, this isn't.
Yeah,
I don't think this is good for you.
Yeah, so he gets his butt kicked a little bit because he's just got one weapon, which someone somewhere pointed out that the weapon that he uses is the same weapon that Lando was using in Solo: A Star Wars Story. It's that silver, like, elongated, like, blaster pistol. Mm-hmm. And that it's probably a gift from Lando to him at some point, or whatever. It's like somewhere during their lineage or whatever.
Interesting.
But it's like the exact same weapon. So, so it was a cool kind of homage or whatever. But they make their connection. Rey's about ready to slice down the Emperor, and then, like, she's going to become the Emperor of the Sith and absorb his power, or he's going to
take her over, like she's a host.
Yeah, he's gonna be the stronger will inside her body.
Not doing it. Not doing that joke. Anyway, continue.
And they make their connection in the Force. They see each other, and then, well, to backtrack a little bit, she has two lightsabers at this point. She has her lightsaber that was Anakin's and Luke's, that's been repaired, and she also has
Maz's.
And I don't think Maz ever used it.
Yeah, let's just say it was Finn's also.
Yeah,
everybody's.
Okay,
I had it for a while.
And then she also has Leia's lightsaber that she had until she finished her training, and then she gave it to Luke and said that she knew her son would die at the end of her Jedi journey, she knew that she would die at the end of her Jedi journey to save her son or something. I can't remember the exact wording, but in any case, she gave it to Luke to hold on to, and then Luke on Octo showed her his, like, hidey hole. the removable brick that had, like, you know, his porno mags and
oh my god,
the lightsaber in there.
You did,
you know, some weed.
Did.
He had some weed.
I'm just looking at the ceiling, just thinking of what happens. Does, like, the blue milk go bad and become, like, alcohol of some sort,
maybe
space alcohol? And
yeah.
He kept that in there. We could take that so many directions.
Anyway, so he gave Rey Leia's lightsaber as well. So she's got the Skywalker lightsaber ignited, about ready to kill the Emperor, and then she pulls it back, puts it behind her head, and then she pulls her hand back, and it's gone. Cut to Ben Solo, not Kylo Ren anymore, Ben Solo, who pulls his hand from behind his head, and he has the lightsaber. They moved matter through the Force again. Then he kind of does his little shrug.
That look that he has is just, to me, it kind of erased all the angsty Kylo Ren stuff from the first two movies, from 2.5 movies, and turned it into, like, you know what's about to happen, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what's about to go down? Mm-hmm. You're about to get fucked up.
And so he then slaughters his Knights of Ren to come in and then help rescue Rey. They face off against the Emperor together. He force drains their life energy.
He senses that, oh, what's in front of me is, this is nice.
It's a dyad in the Force.
It's like he almost has this reaction like a vampire seeing a pool of like fresh blood out of somebody. Like,
yeah,
really, I like this. And so he decides
but he names it. Like he makes
Yeah.
the leap to name it like it's happened before. And then he pulls their life. His eyes light up again. I guess he grows legs and he grows fingers back.
Yeah,
that's shown.
That's 100%. So either he had legs before,
and they were just covered,
a la Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, or he just grew legs and
and he's standing again. And he disconnects from the claw machine,
from the Matrix.
Yeah. And so he flings Ben Solo down a pit. He's standing off against Rey. He's
At this point
in the space battle, the Resistance has shown up. They're fighting these Star Destroyers because they're trying to take them down before they get enough coordinates or coordination to get through the weird magnetic atmosphere that they've got to get out so that they're then dispersed. So they're taking them down, but they're losing. Or no, they're winning. Or no, are they losing? They're losing.
Well, they're
starting to lose, and then
they're making progress because they're getting rid of that antenna.
Yeah.
And they're making progress against the fleet.
Yeah. So they're making progress, but the ships are starting to run out of ships, and they're Poe's on there apologizing. He's tearing up, and then I teared up when you hear Lando come over the comm. He's like, "There's so many more of us," and then cut to the Millennium Falcon, and like every ship we've ever seen in any Star Wars movie ever, plus some.
We're gonna freeze frame that when it comes out on digital.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, that'll be I'm gonna make that a wallpaper for on my computer or something, because that's a beautiful scene.
Real quick, if anybody is very enterprising and has a great sense of hearing, that was the Happy Mask Salesman, which is the creepy ass fucking ringtone that Adam has.
It's a text tone.
It is haunting.
It is haunting.
Anyway, I just thought I'd call that out for if anybody wants to know and they hear that and they're like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah,
it's the Happy Mask Salesman.
Who's the creeper in the closet, like listening to their jokes and laughing for them?
Get out of the house.
So, but like all these ships show up, and like I've also seen stuff on Instagram of people doing like zoom ins and freeze frames of stuff. The Razor Crest from the Mandalorian is there. There's ships from the Resistance cartoon. There's ships from the Clone Wars. There's ships from all the ship from Rebels, the Ghost. That's in there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Harrison Dula is still flying that, or maybe it's her daughter now, or was it a son that she had? I don't remember. But like, I don't know if that's still a thing or whatever. But like, every ship from ever is all there. They're all doing their thing. So they come in, they start mopping up, and then at this point where the Emperor's come back and whatever, he notices like that the fleet, and he does this all the time. He's like, "Look at everyone dying, ha ha ha!" Like, if he really was controlling Snoke, like he said he was, it's the same. He's got the same moves every time. Oh, look, all your friends are dying. Look through the view screen. Did it to Luke. Look, all your friends are dying. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't work. That just ends up pissing people off. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he then sits down and then channels like he says, "I am all the Sith that ever were," and then shoots lightning into the sky and starts shutting down all these ships. They're falling out of the sky. Rey's on the ground. It's, it seems like the end of everything. And then Rey reaches out and it's like, "Be with me." And then you hear it. You start hearing every like Jedi we know coming back and telling Rey to get up. The Force is with them. We got Yoda. We got Qui-Gon. We've got Master Luminara. We've got Anakin, Mace Windu, Kanan, Ahsoka Tano, Kanan Jarrus. Who else? Jesus, like Luke Skywalker. Oh, so many. We got so many of them coming back. And
I had this kind of like, when I knew that the Emperor was going to be in here, I had this vision of like CGI everyone.
Yeah.
Jedi versus CGI everyone Sith, and just having this massive battle, which I knew wasn't going to happen, but I thought, oh, that'd be awesome. This is almost like as a razor thin close a second. Just the fact that you have that moment of quiet where you have to like just be in that moment and enjoy all the different voices saying, yeah,
we got you.
Let's get this cracking.
So Rey gets up. She makes her taunt against the Emperor. Like, he starts to force lightning at her. She pulls the one lightsaber up. You know, Ben's still down in a pit. He dropped his. She's holding off the lightning. She's like, I am every Sith. You can't count me. But she says, I am every Jedi. She pulls out Leia's lightsaber, puts it up as an X, and then, like, forces the lightning back on Emperor Palpatine and then incinerates him. He just dissolves, like a la Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of thing.
It's kind of a Endgame meets... I don't even want to say Apocalypse. Don't say Apocalypse. Oh, I hated that movie so much. But it's almost like those two, like that kind of moment where it's like, it's a wrap for you.
Yeah. And so she annihilates him. And then, but like, she's taken so much damage or put so much force ability out that she's gone. She's done.
Yeah, she has spent all of her energy.
And she collapses. Ben climbs out of the pit, comes over, finds her dead, picks her up, and then, using the Force, brings her back to life. They share a moment. They share a kiss. And then Ben dies. And I'm like, what the fuck? But like, that was also the thing, and I also noted that some people have said this already, but like, it was something that I had started to process around, is that he did finish what his father would started, like when he made that promise. He's like, Anakin said, I will even find a way to keep people from dying.
Yeah, you know what? It's such a like.
And he did, like, in 7, he said, I will finish what you started. And, like, you don't know what he really started, but that's what he started.
But it's such a good, like, closeout of that theme of saving, because the whole reason that Anakin turned was because he wanted to save his wife, right?
Right.
And he turned to the dark side because he thought that had the answer to save the people you love from dying. And it turns out that Kylo wouldn't have been able to do that. Only Ben. So it's the key to it is in the light side of the Force. Granted, he had to sacrifice himself to do it, but that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And that's such a great thematic closing for the fact that, you know, you can't control things, you can't will things into existence, but there is a way to save people you love, and it's not through the passion, emotionful dark side of the Force. It's
through peace and sacrifice.
That serenity, serenity moment.
Yeah. So Ben dies, Rey's alive. She collects the lightsabers, leaves. They blow up all the Star Destroyers. They've won. They celebrate. They celebrate the passing of Leia because she died, bringing Ben back. And then we kind of cut back to that planet again. We go to Tatooine, where she's there, and she's kind of like,
planet tortures you so much.
I have a love-hate with Tatooine. I know there's some nostalgia there, but like, I don't see why. I mean, this is a logical reason to go back to the planet, because it's where Luke grew up. It's where, you know, the saga for us really began. There's a lot of significance to it. But like, why the rest of the galaxy keeps going back to this damn planet, I don't understand. video games and TV shows, whatever. They end up back at Tatooine for some reason. It doesn't make any sense to me. They're like, oh yeah, it's this dust ball that nobody ever goes to. And I'm like, it's got a crime lord on it. It's crime ridden. I'm like, why are you going there?
Except every 5 years we go there.
So she goes there. She kind of explores, the Lars homestead. Finds a place in the dirt to like force bury. Is that a force power to force bury?
We'll go with force push because that's something we know exists.
Yeah, she force pushes the Skywalker lightsabers into the ground, covers them up. Obligatorily, she activates her lightsaber that she has now created, which is a yellow blade, which is
the Guardian blade.
The Guardian blade that looks like it was made out of her old staff that she was carrying around. And then she's asked by some... Like, this whole desert is so empty and barren. This farm has been empty forever.
The moisture farming farm.
Yeah, the moisture farming farm. And then this lady is an arm's like a slight toss of a softball away from Rey. She didn't see this lady approaching. She's so engrossed in burying these lightsabers. And this lady walks up with her, like, what is it, a Kadu? No, that's the Gungan thing that they ride. It's a... whatever. She's like her camel, her space camel. And, and she's like, who are you? It's like, I'm Rey. Rey who? And like, Rey Skywalker, as she looks off and sees Force Ghost Luke and Force Ghost Leia, like, standing there smiling at her, giving her an approval of like, yeah, we'll adopt you. You're good enough. You killed some people.
Yeah, you're now part of the Skywalker brand.
So... You're no longer a Palpatine, you're a Skywalker. And movie closeout. And I was really pleased with a lot of it. I thought it was a great movie.
Join us next time for part 2 of this episode.
Fuck GameStop.